So, we are now getting to the express routes. If you haven't seen the local bus video, I recommend watching that. You don't have to click off now and watch that first. It doesn't matter what order. We're not going to be talking about the local routes at all in this video. It might be mentioned as like a comparison. If you want our opinions on the local routes, go watch the local route video. And we're going to start off with the BM1.
You might be thinking there's already a BM1 route, but it's different because, well, I'll let him explain it.
Yeah, it's different because now the BM1 is considered the downtown variant of the BM1. I know, that makes so much sense, right? So,
and it's not even the existing downtown variant.
Right, because it does a different thing downtown, but
downtown loop is no more.
Alright, so let's look at the Brooklyn section first. Essentially does the same thing, except on Flatbush Avenue it goes up to Avenue J, goes up Ocean Avenue, then takes Beverly Road, and then the express section goes there. Truth be told, I can't really say much about this, because here's my thing. The BM1's main flaw is this area here, on Veterans Avenue and then Avenue U. There's a few workarounds that I'm proposing here, but the main one is keep it going on Ocean Avenue until Quentin Road, and then follow the old B100 route on Fillmore Avenue, and essentially followed the B100, making fewer stops than it.
Mm.
That's my proposal of the BM1. That way, Ocean Avenue, that thing can haul down there, and then you could just follow the B100. Or, if you really think that you can't do that, you can go on Mill Avenue, and then turn on Avenue U, instead of going on Veterans. Now, the Manhattan section is very interesting, because instead of doing the downtown loop like it used to do, it now just goes on Water Street.
So that looks like automatically would be extremely confusing for anyone who has to, who is switching to the new route from the existing one.
Yeah, it's no longer going to be downtown loop.
It's not just that it's not a loop, it's just it goes literally a completely different way than it used to.
Yeah, well, the reason for that is because going back down, it would take Water Street. Now,
that makes sense.
This would be good if it was a combination route, but keep the loop. The loop is, iconic. It loops around downtown. It literally does an exact loop. It's even more of a loop than the QM route in downtown. Now, and the other way around, it starts on Church Street, goes on Park Row, the same downtown section that it used to be. And then some removed stops for new routing, and also just for speed and reliability. We have the BM1C, which is the combination route.
Looks the same in Brooklyn on the map.
Yes, but the thing I mainly want to talk about is the frequency and span. Inbound service is cut at 11 a.m., when it used to be 3:50 p.m.
What?
It is now going to be 11 a.m.
Is this weekdays only?
And it's weekdays only.
So are they just getting rid of weekend service entirely?
Yes. On
what?
The BM... On the Spring Creek ones.
Oh. But still, that makes absolutely no sense.
For those who don't know, Spring Creek Express had a Saturday service with just the combination routes. They're getting rid of that, and they're also getting rid of afternoon service to Manhattan.
This is just complete stupidity right here. It's insane.
Oh, and not to mention that the first combination outbound route going to Brooklyn starts at 7 p.m. If you look at the downtown variant, it's 3 p.m. That used to be 11 a.m. for the first combination one. Now, it's gonna go only rush hours to 9 p.m.
I was about to say there's no way that they could do anything more stupid than the B103 redesign, but I stand corrected. Because this schedule is absolute horse crap. Why would they get rid of Saturday service? That makes no sense to me.
And essentially the route in Brooklyn is the same. The FDR section is still there.
Well, that's cool.
And then it essentially does the same thing. It just removes a stop on Lexington Avenue going eastbound in terms of the Manhattan part. At least the FDR section is still there. Now the BM2, to be honest, there's not much I can say about it just because the only thing we can really talk about is the Brooklyn part, because the Manhattan parts are all the same for the Spring Creek BM routes. Goes from Since this is the downtown variant, it goes from Spring Creek. It essentially follows the B103 route Instead of going on Curtelью like the 103 used to do, it goes on Beverly now, and then the express section goes from there. There's not much really to talk about here. And apparently the outbound, and this is the downtown variant, goes to 8 p.m. instead of 7.
Oh, I see.
And then the combination for the BM2.
The 2C.
The 2C, it cuts off at 10 a.m. going to Midtown, and then at 9 p.m. going to Brooklyn.
Again, having it end so early makes no sense to me. Like, isn't the whole point of the C to be off-peak service?
Exactly. But it's cutting that off, too, for the most part. The BM2C in Brooklyn doesn't really... There's not much to talk about for the combination routes, except for the fact that it's, like, the frequency and span. So, BM3 goes... Remember, BM3 means downtown variant now, so it goes from Sheepshead Bay to downtown Manhattan. And when it comes to the route in Brooklyn, what I don't understand is this part here, the Sheepshead Bay area. Other than that, it's essentially the same thing. It just goes on Beverly, and it goes on the express section. So it no longer goes on Church Avenue, by the way.
I can see why, because they seem to have made it a bit more direct. Although, actually, the amount of turns is the same.
Yeah, doesn't really change much. It just removes stops on Church Avenue. There are two things the BM3 could do that would be so much better. BM3 could start on Emmons, go up to Nostrand Avenue, go up there, take Avenue X, and then go on Ocean Avenue. Ideally, it would just turn on Ocean Avenue from Emmons to Avenue X. However, I do see why they don't do that, just because it would kind of... It's meant to serve the entirety of Sheepshead Bay. So I can kind of understand why it wouldn't shortcut, plus it would just be a knockoff of the B and Q lines if it did that. So I can understand that, but the turn on Batchelder Street doesn't make any sense. Why not just turn on Nostrand? You have better connections there and a better route anyway. Like, I also don't like how the Church Avenue section is cut, but I don't know, I could kind of see it. And it also says that the BM4 would be still going on Church Avenue, so they're not removing it entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the combination, not much I could say about the route. 11 a.m., and then this time the outbound, it actually starts at 2 p.m. to 4, and then from 4 to 6:30 is the rush hour variance, and then from 6:30 to 9. This is probably the closest to a normal schedule going outbound, but inbound, still 11 a.m. The BM4... Yeah, the BM4 is a bit of an interesting conversation. It no longer goes on Ocean Avenue.
Yeah, they cut that.
Instead, what it does is it goes on Coney Island Avenue.
Reminds me of another route that used to exist.
Right. The X29.
I mean, not entirely, but I mean, sort of.
It only does it until Avenue L. And then it turns, goes on Nostrand, and then it goes down Gerritsen. I still think it should have been... It would have been a lot better if it was Avenue N instead, but it's not much of a difference. Just because the stop on Kings Highway and Nostrand is a very important stop, so to be able to keep that, and also continuing on Coney Island Avenue, I don't see why Avenue L, of all places, it like goes right by a high school, except it doesn't actually stop there, thank God. Like, yeah, it goes Avenue L East 12th, Ocean Avenue, Nostrand Avenue. The Avenue L section, and then the Coney Island Avenue section, which is gonna be new. So it goes Coney Island Avenue Beverly, Coney Island Avenue Curtelью, then 18th Avenue, Avenue H, and then Avenue J. So honestly, that's not bad. Not much else I could say about the routing here. Alright, so the 4C. 4C route profile. Yep, 10 a.m. You would think at least one of them would be kept for afternoon service. No, none of them. None of them are being kept at 8 p.m. for outbound. And yeah, same thing in terms of the routing. Now, the BM7. Now we're going to get to the Ulmer Park section. BM7 is the replacement of the X27. So the X designation is no longer going to be there. Which, thank God, I don't really like the,
You don't like the X?
Yeah, no.
I honestly didn't either. It makes me confuse them with like the Queens routes, or before I knew which numbers were which, it used to make me confuse them.
Yeah. Now, this is supposed to be the X27 replacement. Now, since this is the downtown only...
Well, this is completely different.
Yeah, this is the downtown only, so it only goes from 6:30 to 9 a.m. inbound, and then 4:30 to 8 p.m. outbound. Okay. The route is essentially the exact same here in Brooklyn, and now it just does not go to 23rd Street.
I guess you have to take the Midtown one for that.
So we have BM7C, which is the combination. Now this does have weekend service. On weekdays, inbound is now at 4 p.m., which I think is normal. I believe so. And then outbound 11 p.m. Saturday, inbound from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Outbound from 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then Sunday from 8 to 5 inbound, from 1 to 9 outbound.
That doesn't seem that bad.
Yeah, it's a reduction, but it's not nearly as crippling as the Spring Creek ones.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so now the BM8, the X28 downtown variant. It's essentially the same thing, it's just no more service to Seagate. I don't really mind that. My only complaint, though, or my only suggestion, why not add service to Surf Avenue?
That's what I was just about to say. I'm like, can you at least have it
Surf Avenue, go on down Surf Avenue, and then go to the Stillwell Avenue station.
Or not necessarily even to the station, just like the busy part where the actual where the beach and all of the tourist stuff is.
But to be fair though, the reason why I'm saying that is because you have the B36, which will continue service to Seagate.
Yeah, that's true, and you can still get a transfer from an express bus, so
right.
Why not?
Essentially the same thing in terms of the downtown variant here. The 8C, yeah, inbound is now only up to 12 p.m.
For the 8C, yeah, that's absolutely terrible.
And then outbound 7:30 p.m. to 1 a.m. And then 2 p.m. to 4:30. Yeah, something's not right here. Outbound usually starts at 11 a.m. Service hours for Saturday and Sunday. Inbound 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Outbound 12 p.m. to 11. And Sunday 9 a.m. to 5. Yeah, something's not right with that. That is not good, especially weekdays. It used to run to 5 p.m. on weekdays, and now it's only going to 12 p.m.
That's absolutely terrible.
You can't cut service on routes where just because there's a low ridership. Okay, you know what? No, I'm gonna go on rant mode for a little bit. I don't know why the MTA complains about ridership. Whenever, back to the last video, you make a change that cuts service. How do you complain about ridership?
When you're cutting service at the important times.
It's like, yeah, you're gonna propose to cut service. People are not gonna ride it anymore. Of course you're gonna lose ridership. And then the combination route in Manhattan is the exact same thing. Okay, BM31. Let's get back to the Spring Creek routes, but now we're going to Midtown variants. The Midtown variants essentially are just going straight through FDR to 23rd.
Like they've been doing for who knows how long.
Yeah, and then the Brooklyn is the same. So yeah, there's not really much to talk about for these. Even the, the 32, 33, 34.
The 35 is where it seems to get interesting.
The 35, we're going to just skip. It's essentially the same thing. The 35.
It still uses the Long Island Expressway and the Midtown Tunnel.
It's actually reduced service, apparently.
Oh.
From 6 to 10 a.m. inbound, and outbound from 3 to 10 p.m. It still does what it used to do.
They kept the Woodhaven section. I mean, I don't know how else they do it, but I mean, I approve of that. I've only ever ridden it to and from Queens, so... Yeah,
it keeps the stops in Queens. Yeah, it's... The only problem, the main issue with the express route changes are the service. They just keep cutting it when it doesn't need to be cut. Now, the BM37, yeah, it's essentially the same thing. It just goes on FDR Drive, and I assume it's the same with the BM38. Yep, BM38, same thing. So yeah, that's essentially the entirety of the express section. Main thing, MTA, for the express is don't cut service and then say that there's low ridership. When you propose a service cut that people generally need either for flexibility or just because it's there, it's like, there are still people riding it. Enough people, for that matter. Don't cut it off. The way that this is going, there are some really good things about this redesign, but there's also a lot of things that bring it down, and it essentially is like you're taking steps back. You're taking a concept that would make a service better, but you're also reducing it. It doesn't make sense. Like, you can't do both at the same time. You gotta figure out how to, like, actually make it work so that everyone can benefit from it. That's about it for the Brooklyn Bus Redesign. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for watching.